So today's webinar, we are going to cover some precast elements as well as some cast in place elements for automated reinforcing. Uh, for today's attendance, it's going to be myself. I'm the business development manager for reinforcing fabrication, as well as Frank, who is going to proceed with the demo. So just to get into the housekeeping, today's webinar is going to be recorded. It will be available at allplan.com in the section. We will also be putting out emails letting you know that the webinar has been recorded and has been uploaded at that time. All the attendees in today's webinar have been muted. Obviously, if you have any questions or answers, feel free to type them in. And you type them in here, please type your questions into the go-to webinar area, and we will be having a question and answer period at the end where we will answer your questions at that time. This is myself. Some of you may know me, some of you may have already talked to me, some of you who are new, I am the business development manager here in charge of the rebar, fabrication, post-tensioning stud rails. A lot of experience with rebar detailing. Most of that has been with Harris Rebar, as well as being self-employed. Many years of software experience, both in CAD as well as 3D. What drew me here to Allplan is a very unique way of allowing you to maintain your 2D environment mentality, yet creating your 3D model. Very, very unique to any software that's out there. Really drew me to what this company can offer for a lot of you. Frank Holt, who will be doing the demo for you, he is a structural engineer. You can see his background there. He has 4 years of structural engineering design, as well as 3 years of developing software. He joined Allplan just over a couple of years ago because he was investigating BIM software and really liked what Allplan had to offer. And he's the driving force behind a lot of the application tools that you're going to see today. Yeah, very intuitive when it comes to things like that. So we're lucky to have Frank on board with us. Today's agenda, so we already talked about the introductions. We're going to go through the demo. After the demo, we're going to talk about Allplan, what we are, who we are. If you're not familiar with us, for some of you who are, then it's just going to be a reiteration of that. And then we're going to go ahead with the questions and answers. This is what we offer in general. Rather than read through them, most of this is familiar to you, but one of the unique things is this 2D to 3D workflow that we have already talked about. We are a project-driven software, a single source of truth for anything you do. We handle a project, and everything, part of that project is in one location, one file. Everything is done internally. That's what really drives our software and what has really driven our success in the market today. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with the demo here. I'm going to give the controls over here to Frank.
Thank you, Dave. Hello, everyone. In today's example, we're going to look at a double run box culvert. We're going to begin by taking 2D cross sections and extruding them into 3D space using Allplan simple tools. Let's begin in an empty project. The first thing I'm going to do is pull from our library a culvert section. As you can see, this is just like anything we draw ourselves in 2D, but I've taken it and converted it into a 3D surface and oriented it in its proper location. Now I'm going to use our extrude tool to turn this into a 3D shape. You can see if I had an overlay or an underlay, I could easily click on that and screen, but I'm just going to type 100 feet for my barrel now. All right, now if I right click on any object in Allplan, it's going to open up the context menu with tools associated with that object. So I'm going to use now my slice tool and just select 3 points in order to make a cut. And here I'm going to put that 45-degree skew on each end. Once I cut the ends, I can delete those pieces. And I have my barrel just the way I like it. Now I'm ready to go ahead and cut this up into individual precast pieces. First thing I'm going to do is draw a shiplap joint in my wall, and I'm going to put that 15 feet for my end. Now I'm going to extrude that along a path, and the path I'm going to use is a simple rectangle. So I'll just draw this in my elevation. And now, once I launch my extrude tool, I'm going to hit F1, and this is going to bring up our help menu. And I just want to show you that you get step-by-step examples, tips and tricks, hyperlinks about all the common functionality of Allplan. So any tool, if you're ever looking for information about it, you can always just hit F1 and get plenty of information about that specific tool. All right, so now that I have the tool open, I'm just going to follow the steps as they told me. So for this extrude along path tool, I'm going to select a profile. Now I'm going to select a path. And we can see it's going to create a nice slicer objects for us to use. I could have, and I already have this saved in my library, but I just want to show you how easy it is to create these little slicer objects. Once I've done that, I can delete my helper objects here, the path and profile. And now I'm going to make an array of this or just simply copy of it. So I'm going to choose a base path, specify a number of copies, and then a distance that I want to space them along. Looks like we got one too many, so I'm just going to hit delete to get rid of that. And now I'm going to want to rotate this or mirror this slicer object so that I have spigots or male ends for my skews on both sides. So I'm just going to come up here, do a mirror without copy, and then select a line that I want to mirror it across. Once I'm done that, I'm ready to use my subtract and remove tool. And from my big main object, I'm going to subtract off of it all of my little objects here, my slicer objects. And it's going to ask me if I want to resolve those into individual 3D objects. Because we're making individual precast elements, I'll do that. And now we can see that it's split those, like I said, into multiple individual objects with the gap that was specified by our shiplap joint that we had drawn. All right, so now I'm going to look at just one of these interior pieces. So I'm going to copy this over to a second drawing file and then hide everything else so we can hone in on this piece for a minute. Turning on my edges, we can see that we have that perfect male end, perfect female end, the spigot and bell, they're going to exactly line up because we cut it with the same joint on both sides. We just copied that one joint, so we know that they're going to fit up exactly as they need to. Now I'm going to create some views and sections. So I'm going to launch my view tool. I'm going to choose a direction that I want to view. So I'm going to start with the plan. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees when I put it down. And I can just choose where I want to place that. Now I'm going to do an unrotated one looking down the barrel of my culvert. Finally, I'm going to do an isometric view looking from the northwest or the southwest. Lastly, I'm going to create a section. Sections are like views, but that you choose a box about what you want to see, choose a direction that you want to look from, and now I can place that same representation in my drawing file. Before I close it, we'll just look at a few of these options over here. You'll notice this formats. This is one of the most important ones. This is where I can choose what edges I'm seeing, so I can eliminate adjacent edges. So over here at my chamfers where I have a 45-degree angle, if I were to increase this maximum joint over that, I would not see those anymore. Additionally, I can turn on and off the hidden and visible edges independently. If we have them both off, it's just going to be a true section cut. Whatever I cut is what I'm going to see. I can choose what those look like, the hidden and visible edges independently. I can also place clipping lines over here, so if something's cut by the section object, it will put a little dashed line there to let us know, and we can say what that looks like as well. One of the great features about Allplan, these objects, they know when they're being cut, they know that they get a special hatch or fill, or even a style area based on what kind of material they are. Allplan allows you to override a lot of these things at many points along the way. We can override them right here in the layout element. Later on, we can override those actually in the drawing files that we produce. All right, so I'll place this down. Now that I have some views and sections, I'm ready to go ahead and place some reinforcement. We'll start by placing some U-bars in this wall. And the first tool I'm going to use is my area reinforcement. This is great for walls and slabs and any kind of big area that you're going to be placing. So I'm going to specify a 2-inch cover and just choose my corners here. Now in Allplan, whenever you have to enter any values, so here I have to choose my X position, I can actually just click on screen. It's going to read that value and actually show me a little heads up arrow of where I clicked to let me know that I've locked in right at the base of that slab or that wall. Now for choosing the member thickness, you can see it found the full extents. I just want to correct it and say we're doing a single wall here. And so I can simply click 2 points. Allplan's going to measure the distance between them and then use that as my component thickness. All right, lots of options here that we can see. Size, spacing, we can choose overlap lengths. If the area that we're reinforcing gets very large, we can automatically cut and splice it. We can stagger those, as you can see here. We can optimize the position of those splices. Additionally, if we had a weird shaped polygon, we can choose how to combine the mark numbers. If we want to do step tapers or benching, as we call it sometimes, we can do that here as well. We can also add all kinds of hooks to either ends. We can specify those on an edge by edge basis. So I'm going to just choose a hook into the top slab and a hook into the bottom slab here. I can also choose if I want to see one bar, the middle bar, all the bars, select the bars, fold the bars. Finally, the last thing I need to set is the angle. And again, this is as simple as just simply drawing a line on screen or choosing a line on screen, and Allplan will adopt that angle for you. Now once I hit OK, we're going to immediately see this appear in my 3D model. We're going to see it in all my sections and views. Anywhere where it should be visible, it will be visible immediately. Now Allplan always likes to predict what you're doing next. So here I have the option to place a dimension line down. I'll do that. And I'll choose from my favorites, just a simple one. These favorites are really great. You'll see me use these a lot. You can save these at a private level, at a project level, or even at an office level. So you set all the properties, the parameters once, it's going to remember that, and now anybody in the office can use it. Here we can see for this label in particular, it's just a matter of choosing a bunch of checkboxes. Do I want to see my mark number, my number of pieces, diameter, spacing, steel grade, length, the bending shape? You can add custom text, all kinds of things. All right, now that I got one direction done, I can use my match tool. It's going to automatically pull all those parameters and then make a few adjustments for us. Here we can see it's changed the concrete cover, it's increased it by a bar diameter. Additionally, it's changed the angle of the bars by 90 degrees to give you that perfect orthogonal mat that you need. And then again, it'll just ask me to place my dimension line. I'll do that here. And these are live, so any changes that I make, you'll see that these will get updated. The quantity, size, spacing will all change if I make any changes there. You can see here in a 3D, it's placing those as we expect, and of course in all of our sections and views. All right, the next tool I'm going to use is our bar shape tool. This has a lot of the built-in bar shapes, closed stirrups, open stirrups, straight bars, L-shaped bars, hooks, loops, spacers, other 3D bars. Another nice thing about Allplan is you can always just draw a 3D line in space and then convert that to a bar at a later time. My favorite though is the Swiss Army knife of them. It's the freeform tool. This is as simple as clicking the corners of the extents of your concrete, and it will simply follow the edge of that concrete according to a cover, of course, and you can set that on a segment by segment basis. After I've shaped it, I can change anything about it. I can add a hook to the end. You can see it's going to automatically calculate that hook length and the bending pin factor. These are according to CRSI, ACI, CSA. We have all the American and Canadian specs loaded in their standard. You can also override this on the fly, so if I need changes for whatever reason, I can. Finally, just as before, you can save all of these at an office level. And so now everybody in the office, it will automatically default to whatever length of hook you want for that specific size. All right, once I've shaped it, it's going to ask me to label it. Then it will ask me to place it. You can see the automatic placement automatically kicks in. It's going to go and find the extents of the concrete, give me a placing line here. I can enter spacing or a number of pieces. It will calculate one from the other. If I do a spacing, it's going to make them evenly 8-inch spaces. And then I have to deal with the take up, obviously, so I can put that at the start or the end, or split it evenly if I want. And then again, as soon as I've placed it, it's just going to ask me if I want to dimension it. You can always go back after the fact, place labels real easily. Just like before, right click on an object, you're going to get tools specific to that object. Here I want to label this bar. You notice that if I click a point one, it's automatically going to change the leader, automatically put a circle there for me. So it's rather intelligent in the way that it places these things. So it's just a matter of clicking through and populating it with what you want to see. We don't always have to use these bar tools. We can use any of our CAD functionality. This works like any other 2D, 3D element in Allplan. So if I want to go ahead and take this and mirror it over from one side to the other, it's as simple as doing a mirror command, and you can see it's even going to get all my text and leaders and labels and everything else. And if I just want the bar, I can easily do that as well. So I'll just mirror the bar across here. We have a collision. We may or may not have noticed that. If we didn't, we can always run a collision check at some point in the process. So here I'm going to check for all my bars against my bars. But this tool is also great for checking, precast elements in the field. Make sure you got proper fit up. You can check vertical clearance under a bridge. There's many uses for this tool, not just checking bar against bar. You'll see once the tool is ran, it's going to, in 3D, show us nice red boxes around all of our collisions. In 2D, we're going to get little red X's. We can choose to save this in the document if it's somebody else's problem, or we can just get rid of them and deal with it ourselves. We could operate, with our direct object modification. We can stretch this. We can always go back to our property palette, change the offset if we want. But again, just because these are simple CAD functionalities are much easier to use, I can always come in here and just simply move my bars over if I want. And now I can see that I've resolved that collision. Another thing to note is all of this is updated in real time. So if I make any adjustments, say I shrink this section down like a foot, it's going to automatically reduce the number of bars, reduce the length of bars. I'll go ahead and put down at this point a reinforcement schedule. And then any changes I make to my model are going to get reflected in real time. So that stretch would have appeared here. Another thing I can do, I'll go ahead and add an opening. So I'll use my extrude tool again. This time I'm going to extrude on a surface. I can choose whatever shape I want to extrude. Choose a face. Again, I'm working only in 2D here, but that's not to say I can't work in my 3D. So if I need to come here and work on this chamfer at an angle, I might do that. But I'm comfortable in 2D, and that's where I want to work. So all my work will be done, you'll notice, in these 2D, these gray areas, and then the result is the 3D that I'm getting essentially for free with maybe a few extra button clicks. All right, so I'll choose that face. Now I'll place a shape. I'm going to do a circle, and I'm going to cut it out. You're going to see that the bars are still going through there. So we're going to go and adjust this geometry. Simply right-click, modify the placement geometry. I can choose here to add an opening. I'm going to use my area detection. This tool is available in a lot of our functionality. It's as simple as clicking inside of any area and it will go and find that polyline for you. So I could have drawn a rectangle around this. For some smaller openings we probably wouldn't hold these bars back at a specific 2-inch cover, but I just like to show how you can easily adapt this to any kind of shape or size of opening or whatever it may be that you have. That area detection is very powerful. It just saves you a few extra clicks and a misclick more importantly. You'll notice that the bars here have changed color. That indicates that they've changed mark number. And if we look over here at our reinforcement schedule, we can see that that's updated. And these openings, once I've just provided the shape, I can come in here, and if it was a rectangle, I could easily change the shape of the opening. You can see, gotta be careful what you grab, but it will automatically update those bars for us and change the way those need to look. And of course, update that in every schedule, every section, every view, anywhere that appears, it's going to be updated in real time for you. All right, let's go back and look at our full barrel over here. One thing we want to do is we want it to be a double run, so it's as simple as, once you got a lot of detail in there, you can go ahead and copy this over. We're going to look at now this end culvert section, the skewed piece, and look at some automation and how it can help us with this. So I'm going to go back to my library. I'm going to pull one of our apps here. This is a skewed culvert one that we made for a customer. And first thing I'm going to do is apply a rotation. And so now it's in the proper orientation. And another way that we deal with 3D, working mostly in 2D and Allplan, is with fixity. So I can come over here to my elevation and I can right click on the midspan, which is where this reference point needs to be. And I can say fix my Z. So now when I work on my plan, it's going to maintain that proper elevation. So all that's left for me to do is lock this onto the center here, and it's now in its perfect position. Now I need to go and shape it with the parameters. A lot of you are probably already familiar with parametric design, where you can enter parameters and it's automatically going to give you a shape that you need. In Allplan, we take this a couple of steps further. The first one is what I call interactive design. And so now I can actually take these handles and stretch and move and drag these things into place, so I can just adapt it to the geometry. So I don't need to go and measure this and find out that it's 1'8". I can just simply drag my handle and then it gets that value. I don't need to remember that this is 15. I simply drag my handle and it will get that geometry for me. All right, now I'm gonna get rid of some of this other clutter, just focus in again on this end piece here. So I'm gonna select all of my 3D objects, get rid of those. And we can see that this is done, more than just get that basic shape. It's added quite a bit of extra information, geometric information to this shape. And we could easily do this ourselves through the chamfer commands, through all the different tools that we have for 3D modeling in Allplan. But with the parametric, it's great because it's simply a checkbox. So if the requirements of this project change or the customer wants something different, we don't have to go back and remodel that or undo the changes that we did. We just simply check or uncheck a box. Likewise, for all those typical chamfers you have on every project, you can set those edges to always be chamfered, save this as a favorite, and now they'll always be chamfered, and you don't have to worry about making sure you chamfered all those edges. This isn't just doing our 3D model, it's also doing reinforcement, we'll see. So here we have our interior bars. We can see our short bars, they're coming over at 10 feet. Change the parameter, we can see they easily go to 8 feet. Looking at our exterior reinforcement, just like we drew on the interior piece, we're going to have a U-bar in the walls and some straight bars in the slabs, and of course we're going to lap that. Here I have a lap length of 2 feet, a leg length of 5 feet. You saw me draw it before, it was pretty easy with the parametrics, but now it's going to be in the exact same place. You can save it as a favorite, what have you. For this particular requirement, the customer wanted it so that on the long side we maintained a 6-inch spacing, and so as I get longer or shorter, it's going to add or remove bars as necessary. On the shorter side though, it's going to accordion out, so it's going to maintain that stitch ratio of, in this case, 1:3. I could easily change this as 2:1, 5:4, 4:3. It was whatever the customer wanted, but you can see that it automatically adapts, and it's all rule-based, logic-based, so it's full control, doing exactly what we want. This is great for a couple reasons. We know it's right because it's done automatically, it's done programmatically, and we can confirm that it's right because we can always come on here at any point and measure this and see that we have exactly that 2-foot lap length. If we come in here and look at our 3D, we can see that it's fully contacted the way we want it to be. These bars that are created by the Python part, they're just like any other bar that you would create yourself. So I can get a schedule out of these. Another thing that we can get from any bar is what we call a schema. These are like little details. I know that a lot of precasters I worked with in the past, they would have a page just filled with details. So this will be a great time saver just to plop all these things down for your different shape bars. And these are a live link. Any changes in the model are going to be reflected in this detail, but it's also a two-way link. So if I come in here and say stretch that top down, we're going to see that reflected. I can also manipulate this in a few ways. I can one thing I can do is modify the hooks. So I can come in here and add a hook, specify an angle, it calculates a length, or I can override it. And you can see that it will go and add that to our model for us. And of course, in my schedule and my views and my sections, everywhere it appears, it's going to be updated automatically for me. All right, we're going to look at a couple more Python parts. We also have here some more Python parts for the buried structures market. We have one for those interior sections. We have head walls, inlets, manholes, trenches, vaults, a few other ones as well. We're going to take a second look. So looking at this vault here, some of the great aspects of it that I want to highlight, features of this vault, is we can add openings, and we can see that it will automatically place an opening in whatever member we choose. But not only that, it's going to automatically do some other things for us. Here we can see that it's going to add lifters if we so want. We can place reinforcement. Notice that it's going to automatically cut the reinforcement around the opening for us. It's going to place some replacement steel, some supplemental bars. We have all kinds of options about the spacing, the cover for these things individually. Another great automation tool is going to create some views and sections for us programmatically as well. And so, with all the tools we've seen, it's really easy to get into Allplan pretty quickly, start making 3D geometry, start making reinforcement. But in your early days, you want a lot of that done for you automatically. This is going to create those things very quickly, very simply. And then, with all the stretch and dragging that we saw before, you can easily take this one model and turn it into whatever else you need as the projects require down the road. All right. So I'm going to clear all that out, and we're going to look at a couple more apps. This time now we're going to flip over to our rebar detailing, look at a couple of apps that are useful for that. First one here is a column. So I'm going to load this in. Again, load a favorite for it. Place this in my drawing. Now it's creating the 3D geometry for us, but this isn't necessary. We can turn that off. So if we have a column in our model and we just want to place reinforcement, we can easily take this Python part, drag and drop it, just like we did with the skewed end culvert, turn off the geometry so we get all that special geometry that's already been modeled for us, or maybe we modeled ourselves. And this will just add that reinforcement for us. And you can see that it's maintaining those stirrup areas at the end, the stirrup area at the middle, that I can easily drag and set into the place. Once I have that, I'm going to add some beam bars. So again, this could be used in a number of different ways. Here though, I'm just kind of showing off some of the functionality for it. So again, load a favorite and maintain that fixity. So I'm going to bring this guy down 1'3", and I'm going to right click, fix that in my Z. Now I'm going to place it in my XY. We can see that's perfectly positioned here. And then just looking at this beam bars, I like this one a lot again because it's using all the handles here, so you can see if this beam gets longer or shorter. You basically just drop this in and then move it so that it's adapted to the different bays that you have in your building there. All right. One more kind of cool CAD functionality that I like about Allplan. I'm going to go ahead and copy this column here and its reinforcement, just using my regular copy routine. I'm going to go ahead and select a base point. But now when I'm looking for my fruit point, Allplan has these different tools for selecting points. So this one is a division. So I can say I want to division or divide up a line into so many points. So that's my start point. This is my end point of the line. And now I'm going to break it up into 3 pieces. And now I can actually just click on which of those 3 divisions that I want it to go to. So I'm going to do this first one here, and we can see it brings it right over to the bay exactly where it needs to be at that 1/3 point. All right. Our next example here is going to be a big slab. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to add some openings to it. One is a permanent opening. So we'll add some hairpin reinforcement around that. Another one will be a crane opening that will use some couplers so we can close it up later. All right, so in my slab, I'm going to create an opening, choose my slab. I'm going to choose the corner, the top right corner. So this is going to be 6 feet down, 6 feet over. And now this is going to be a 6 foot wide by 6 foot tall opening. We can see that it's opened that up. Now we have 4 layers of bars here. We could use the modified geometry or a tool like it. This case though, I'm going to use my split bar command. This is great for cutting a lot of bars all at once around openings and whatnot. So here I'll select the placements I want to cut. I'm going to do an opening. We also have the ability to just draw a line and it will cut it and splice them there. Or you can put a joint there for maybe attaching a coupler later. I'm going to give it a 2-inch clear cover. And so now all I got to do is just draw a square to match my opening. We can see that it's automatically cut those and again given them new mark numbers. We can see our table over here is expanded a little bit. Now we need to place those hairpins, some diagonal bars, other longitudinal bars to reinforce this opening. So we'll go back to our library, look at some of our engineering parts, some more of these expanding ones. These ones are great because they use an additional interactive layer. This is our interactive framework. And so you can see as I get close to an edge or an opening, it's going to automatically try and determine what the shape should be. And so you can see it's adapted that automatically. I'm going to again load a favorite so it matches all the reinforcement here. And it set those properties for us. It's matched the spacing, the size. Obviously, you'll have different colors or covers for the X direction as the Y direction. So I can click on these points here and actually modify these edges individually. So I can get that proper cover and size in the X direction, the proper cover and size in the Y direction that I need. Once I hit escape, it'll add that for us. We can look over here on the schedule. We can see that I found that T2 bar, got all its parameters, and expanded our schedule again for us. All right, last opening, next opening. That's going to be down here on the bottom left. I'm again just going to use my opening tool, and then from this corner, again, 6 feet over and 6 feet up. I'm going to do a 10-foot by 10-foot opening. I'll rotate my 3D around so we can see it. And then also I'm going to take my plan view over here. I'm going to create a second plan view. This is just convenient for me to go and look at two parts of my plan at the same time, so I don't have to keep zooming in and out of what I'm trying to look at here. All right, so for this opening, like I said, I'm going to do some couplers. So before I can do that, I'm going to create some new marks for this little stretch of bars over here around my opening. So I'll just take these bars, give them a new mark. You can see it change color. And then these bars and give them a new mark. Now I'm going to use my coupler thread connecting bar tool. Lots of different options. I can just place couplers at ends, threaded bars at ends to match a coupler somewhere. I can create a coupler to close a small gap. Here though, I'm going to use the option to split an existing bar into 2 pieces and create a coupler connection there. You can see I can choose my different manufacturers. We can always add these, but we have most of the ones that are popular here as well. All right, so now this tool is as simple as selecting your range of bars, selecting a line through which you want to make that connection, and then choose a side where you want to place your coupler. And then on the other side, it will place a matching threaded bar. Now we'll do this again on the other side for this placement. And then we'll do it twice more for the other placement on both sides here. All right, so if we zoom in, we can see that it's created that connection for us. We can go over to our object browser. This is a great way to drill down into all the different parts of your model. You know, you get a lot of objects in here. It's sometimes hard to navigate. So this allows you to simply select things, turn things on and off. So what I'm going to do here is turn off my bar over my opening. You can see that that thread disappears. It's actually part of that bar. So we can see the threaded bar end here. And we can see the bar with coupler over there. And of course, this has updated our schedule the whole time. I can open up another legend here. We have, of course, one for our couplers. No sense of putting all this data in here if you can't get it out. Of course, we can get it in the schedules as you see here. We can also print these to reports, PDF, Word, Excel documents that can be brought into other systems. At this point though, I'm going to attach some more attribute data to my objects, these reinforcement objects. And for that, I'm going to use a tool, a reinforcement tool. This is our release manager. What this does is it allows you to select bars and actually give them a release with an ID, a description, attach that to a bid item. So now I'm going to select my bottom bars, and I'm going to give those a release. Now I'll select some top bars. And maybe I'll even add these other bars up here to that release as well. Now I have another schedule which separates these bars by releases. And so when I place this, you can see that it's organized all that, and now it's ready to be sent to a lot of different places actually. We can send it to a bending machine. Allplan creates that typical BVBS file that a lot of bending machines use. We can also get this to ASA and Sule. You can see it's going to pull that attribute information, that project information. I can also attach any other information that I need to, that header data that goes into these programs. You can save that file, bring it right over into there, and that data is now ready for you to use in ASA or Sule. A little bit of cleanup's required. So for my rebar detailers, you know that usually you only want to see the middle bars, you want to select certain bars, even sometimes you want to fold the bars. So this is great. I can just go through and select which bars I want to see for which placements, or in this case I'm just selecting the placements and telling them that I want to see just the middle bar for each of these placements here. And so I just have a couple more. And I'm going to rearrange marks. You can see that it's going to look for identical shapes inside of my project and automatically combine those up into a single mark for me. All right, now that those bars are cleaned up, of course I can always come in here and place a range line. Let me load a favorite. And so it's as simple as placing a range line down, a range label, give it a leader if you want. And once you got a row of these things going, you can see it's really easy just to continue the pace and create that layout with the exact labels in the exact position that you want. You know, it's nice because you get this tailor-made shape. I think that's probably enough for now. And once we've created these sections, these schedules, we're ready to start placing these things on our layouts. So for that, I'm going to flip over to a more complete project. This is another little foundation. You can see here lots of bars, top and bottom, some dowel bars, some beam bars. If we just look at the plan here, we can see these sections. They look exactly like you need them to with all the information here, and you can see through the ways that I created it that it's all through the workflow. As you create these bars, you're going to automatically create these labels. You're going to have these complete sections. Once you attach a little bit of data, you're going to be getting these schedules out of here for free as well. And then just as you see, it's just a matter of going through and adding the labels wherever you might need them. All right, once we have that, we're going to go over to our layout editor. And now I'm going to simply start placing any of those elements that we've seen. I've organized it here. I can pull out my bar list, my sections independently, so it's just a matter of choosing which element you want to see and placing that layout or that viewport on our layout here. I can also place many of these at the same time, and you can see I can control these individually, so I can pull these three over here. I like this a little better because you can get a preview and see how things are going to kind of fit together. I can always get rid of the ones I don't need. I'm going to put down one more here. It's a plan view. We'll do our top bars. And this one's nice because we have a little bit of a sump, a bit of congestion over here with our reinforcement. So I'm going to make a blow up of that. So I'm going to create another detail or another plan over to the side. I'm going to change the scale, double the size of it. You can see it's automatically going to apply a font factor for us. We can turn this off if we wanted to maintain that exact text size. But here I'm just going to leave it blown up for the time being. And I'm going to put a circle around the information I want to see in my big view and just a matching one here in my small view. Now I'll crop my existing layout window with this circle, place it over in my layout with everything else. And because this is a full CAD program, it has been for over 35 years, it's as simple as drawing extra lines, Maybe if you need some text here, you can always place text down, let people know that this is in fact for your sump detail. And maybe add a leader. I just want to show this is not super exciting because all of us use CAD, we have for a long time, so it's all the tools you've come to expect over the years. They're going to be available for you here as well. Last thing I'm going to do is place a couple of notes and details from my library. Of course, a lot of these things, are going to be the same things. We have common details for common practices that we do. We don't want to keep switching it up on our trades, obviously. So, those common details, you don't always have to get that information in the model. You can save it for a detail, a simple 2D detail. These actually can be XREF'd in from drawings, from AutoCAD, from MicroStation, DWGs. You can XREF right from there. Let somebody keep maintaining that detail in the other software and just bring it in as a reference into Allplan if you'd like. All right, last thing we're going to look at today is a little bit of teamwork. This is the BIM Explorer. It's going to give us a window into BIM Plus, which is Allplan's collaboration tool. This is just a simple viewer for, like I said, BIM Plus, which can be served up in a number of different platforms or formats. You can send this to an iPad or an iPhone. We have apps there. Additionally, we can do this through a browser, so people don't even need Allplan to look at these models that you're creating. So you can share this with your customer or your customer's customers. We even have some small tools in here like collision checking, some things that the authors, as we call it, the author of the model, doesn't always need to do. This is sometimes a responsibility of another discipline. You can also filter in here. This is great. You can filter by all kinds of elements. One that's useful for us would be the release ID. So I can apply a filter, and now it's going to organize into a nice visual tree here. So I can click on this 111. It's going to show us all those bottom bars. I can click on any of the positions, as we call them, any of these marks here, and get a nice little 3D preview. I can get information like the steel grade, diameter, weight, length. All that information can be had in this collaboration platform. Like I said, this is not even an installed program. It can be run right out of a browser or on a tablet in the yard, the field, the shop, or what have you. Anytime I click on any of these objects, even if I click on the 3D model itself, you can see I get a nice little preview. It'll tell me the volume, the surface area. I can have comments, I can attach documents, I can attach hyperlinks. All kinds of stuff can actually be attached to this 3D model for which you're going to collaborate. All right, with that, I think that's the last thing I wanted to show you. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Dave. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and have a great day.
So that demonstration, obviously we did a whole gamut of things, just to give you the idea of how robust Allplan is. We can handle precast elements, both quote unquote what we call manually, as well as some automated tools. We did hop into some cast in place rebar detailing. Didn't get too much in how those rebar went into the actual cast in place units themselves, but you get the sense of the idea. We do have a very unique system of generating our 3D bars, our 3D information from the actual 2D model, and I know we get this feedback from a lot of people out there that we're not asked for 3D for anything. We really don't want to investigate that. And my kickback to that and my push for the industry is said, well, I'm not pushing 3D for your clients. I'm pushing 3D because I feel it'll make you a better organization internally with the ability to add a vast amount of information to that 3D object. Our software takes away that 3D stigma of you need to know 3D in order to get rebar in. We have a very unique situation here where we can create our 2D rebar in our 2D sections from our 3D model. Very, very unique. So Frank did an awesome job there showing a lot in a very little bit. The idea is not to drag this on too long for the demo, but to pique your interest. So I hope we've done that. I hope we can do some follow-up conversations with some of you. So who is Allplan? Allplan, we are a leading AEC provider. We are not by any means a new solution. We've been in Europe for 30 plus years. We're newer here in North America. We do have a solid base here now. We're very excited with a lot of things that are coming out, especially with the new releases and the new releases we are working on. We do have a we call it a BIM solution rebar detailers, and as you saw with the demonstration, you don't have to have the full mind of a 3D guy in order to proceed with our software. In my mind, like I said, I've seen a lot of software. It blew my mind, which is why I jumped on board with these guys to really get the message out that there is something better that can be used for your daily tools. This is a tool. Don't get me wrong. This is a tool that will ultimately make you better at what you do. I have over 400 employees in 90 countries and 240,000 users of Allplan. So again, by no means we are a little guy. So rebar dealing, just some images of some stuff that we've done. I'm not going to dwell on that. At this point here, I am going to open up for questions and answers while we have this back shot on the board of really what Allplan is. And just looking at some of the questions now, I'm just trying to expand it so I can see them a little better. One of the questions here, what type of export formats do you provide and able to import the takeoff into the rebar fabrication solutions? Well, we did show you that we have the ability to go into ASA and Sule. We also do, I know with both those softwares, you do have the ability to import via an Excel spreadsheet. You can go that route. We can do a text-based format. For ASA-based solution, we have the DOS base. We are currently developing the more robust RDX file, which will allow you to have more functionality to bring our information into that. So we do have that in there. For your Shear 97 users, we can create a file that will allow you to go into that. Because we have this open solution, we have the data associated to our bars. It's a single source solution. If we can generate a report for it, we can get it out to your software. We are not tied by any means of getting it to your fabrication solution. So we're ready to go to get into any one of those. See if we had anything else. I know there was a couple questions some of you were having trouble hearing. I hope it was okay and it came across okay. We are going to share the video recording when this is done. I don't see any more questions popping up here now. Hang on. One question comes up. What is seat of Allplan cost? I mean, we do have general list pricing, guys. Depends on the solution you're provided, but Allplan in general, we do have 3 solutions that we usually provide for pricing. We have perpetual pricing. We do have a 12-month and a 36-month subscription program as well. And I'd be more than happy to follow up with you, any one of you, and give you direct pricing on these for that. But we are well in line with other solutions out there, if not better than some of the other solutions out there when it comes to total pricing for a package. The other thing to keep in mind here is you do not require a software to piggyback off of. We are a standalone solution. We do not require MicroStation and or AutoCAD to run our rebar solution. The solution you get will have the ability to do rebar detailing, stud rated detailing, and post-tension detailing, as well as concrete structures. So it is a single solution for those. They're not additional packages you have to get on top. So at the end of the day here, here's, if you want to take a screenshot or feel free to call. I did not put my cell phone number on there, but this will link it to my cell phone. I will give it to you verbally here if I'm recording. I can reach at 289-686-4434 for any further inquiries. By all means, visit our website. On there, we will be following up with the attendees to get some feedback, as well as if you require any further demonstrations of what more we can do. Because again, obviously, we just touched the tip of the iceberg with this particular demonstration. There's so much more involved in our software that makes it a very good software. So at this point now, if we do not have any more questions, Frank, I don't know if you got any in your end, but I don't see anything further here. I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and please attend our website for look for past webinars, as well as we will be listing some future webinars coming up, which I will be hosting, as well as some of the other segments that we'll be hosting. I do thank you for your time. I hope everyone is staying safe and staying well, and we will talk to you soon.